What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. You already know the vibes. We are getting so close to the final series of the NBA season. The NBA Finals. One ticket has been punched, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it looks like they'll be here in this round for a very long time and seasons to come. We'll continue to break down the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about what could be the craziest summer ever, according to Shams Charania, in this NBA coming up this offseason. And then we will also talk about what's going down in terms of NBA media world and how certain players are being labeled as faces of the franchise, how they're being labeled as superstars or just stars. It's getting kind of wild. A lot's going on. But first, Danny, I see that you are not in your usual spot. Update me, please.
I'm, doing I'm gonna say a little world tour here, but this is summertime's pretty much starting for your boy. And this is the last trip for me before the next little one comes. So we're spending some time with the in-laws. They will come out before the next one comes. But having some camps here in Texas, get a chance to explore the Valley, like Laredo, McAllen, Austin, San Antonio, of course. But I'm in Houston right now with the in-laws, with the little one, getting some family time for the next couple of weeks until, and I'm supposed to be doing game one of the finals in Calgary. So that should be an interesting adventure. Yeah. So
yes. Going back to, I imagine anytime you walk through Canada, there's always a lot of love for you.
Yeah, I've never been to Calgary before, so I'm interested to see how this is going to go. But every time, open arms, bro. Every time I go to Canada, very welcoming. They embrace me, man. They show a lot of love all over Canada, whether it's Vancouver, whether it's Halifax, Ottawa, Winnipeg. We've done some camps in some strange places. This will be my first time in Calgary, but I'm very much looking forward to it because Canada's always amazing to me.
I gotta get back to Toronto, man. It's been way too long. I need that love. With that being said, okay, so we're getting towards the NBA Finals, and I'm having a difficult time here, Danny, because one part of me is like excited because I'm just a basketball fan. Like I want to see the best basketball being played at the latest part of the season. Of course, I'm excited for the NBA Finals, but there's two things that are making me sad.
What's that?
Number one, the Knicks might not be in the NBA Finals as what I thought might happen.
Man, this was the year too.
It's not over. It's not over. It's far from over.
Yeah, it's fucking
over. Two things. When it ends, when the Eastern Conference Finals ends, that will be the last Inside the NBA on TNT broadcast. Thankfully, they'll be back in some form with ESPN, but it will be the last time that we see that. So it's kind of Danny
Turner, it's kind of.
And I think it's interesting too, and there's kind of a weird alignment. It's like the end of that era, and as we see a team like Oklahoma City Thunder going to the NBA Finals, I think it also signifies a new era of basketball that we're in. Anthony Edwards, back-to-back Western Conference Finals, now at the age of 23. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. You look at, it's not the Boston, it's not LeBron James in the Eastern Conference anymore. It's now the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. I think we are in yes, Kevin Durant's still playing. Yes, LeBron is still playing. Yes, Steph Curry is still playing. But I think it's fair to say, Danny, that the next era of the NBA is actually already here. Like we saw it coming. We saw it peaking up. I think it's actually here now.
I don't disagree. I mean, I said I'm loving the brand of basketball that we're watching and we're seeing for the playoffs, especially the fact that the referees are letting most of them play. They're letting guys play. So it's physical. It's exciting. Some series, I mean, OKC Minnesota series, I wish it was better. But I said I like the competitiveness and the nature that we're getting from all angles, all sides. And, guys wanting smoke and guys not ducking smoke. And you see all the subliminals, you see all the not trash talk, but you can see people kind of at each other a little bit. But yeah, man, the next wave, and we have some more incoming talent coming, but the wave of superstars, the wave of talent that has come across the board, the league is in very good hands. And I feel like they're smart too. They know how to operate themselves within the media and carry themselves a certain way. Most of them, can't say all of them, but they're ahead of the curve than what we were in handling and addressing and being role models in a sense. So, yeah, I'm excited where the game is at, and it's been dope to watch and dope to see. So, and even though people are not too overly anxious or overly up for the finals that people are not looking forward to, OKC, Indiana, which you said is far from over with the Knicks, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a great brand of basketball, man. And I'm still very much looking forward to that matchup as well. So, yeah.
If we get Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder, that is a Hoopers NBA Finals. It's for the people who really, really
the
like
real fans, not like the fans that no, this is the real Hoopers type of basketball you want to see. Real Hoopers want to watch that.
And again, it might not happen just yet. The series with the Knicks is not just over. We'll talk about that.
I love how you Knicks fans are keeping it alive. Like I said, if any team could do it, they are right now. They could do it. They're a good enough team to get back into the series, to win 3 games in a row. Indiana has not lost 2 since they've been playing in the playoffs. The start of this playoff series, I don't see them losing 3 in a row, let alone 2 in a row. At best, I see it happening. Knicks can stretch it to 6, but the series is over. We see 95%. Down 3-1, 95% of the time that team wins. I'm going to have to go with statistics here, H. As good as the Knicks are, they're a little worn down, a little more than a little bit. Tibbs is going out of character with going into his bench of players that I haven't seen play in a long time. And I love DeLon Wright. I think he's playing great. But we haven't seen him play in Knicks uniform often at all. Campaign is not playing much anymore. They're just throwing in different stuff. I like what Deuce is bringing. So, yes, it's gotten interesting, and I think it's over. I don't think it's over, bro.
We will save thoughts about the Knicks and thoughts about the Pacers when this series is actually over. I will say this, as we are taping this on Thursday afternoon. I fully predict that OG Anunoby will now become the primary defender on Tyrese Halliburton as opposed to Mikal Bridges. I expect the Knicks to win and potentially win comfortably in game number 5. When we get down to game number 6, back in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, it will be a clutch game under 5 minutes left. The score will be within 5 points. We will see what happens then. And then if the Knicks pull it off, and they've been great in the clutch all postseason, then we will be back at Madison Square Garden on Monday for game number 7. Mark my words, OG Anunoby becomes the primary defender on Tyrese Halliburton on Thursday night, game 5 in the Garden. Then we get game 6. By the way, game 5, the Knicks will win comfortably. Game 6, we will be back in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It will be a clutch game with under 5 minutes left. Whatever happens. If the Knicks win, it will be a very, very fun game to see on Monday back in Madison Square Garden for a game 7. That's how it's gonna shake out, Danny.
I said once again, I love how the Knicks fans are keeping hope alive. I do, and that's a great prediction. But honestly, said they can stretch. This is over in 5. This is a gentleman's sweep, and it's not about your defense. It's about your offense. And Nesmith is the reason why your offense is sped up and why Jalen Brunson is having troubles. And Cat is the person that you need to be consistent. Is he going to be consistent enough to show up for 5 straight games? No. This is the reason why he was traded. He better have a good game. If he has a good game in game 5, I don't see it happening in game 6 and 7. It's just not going to happen. And if for you guys to win, you have to score. As good as OG plays defense, I love OG to death. He is a great defender. He's not getting involved as much offensively as he should because Jalen Brunson is trying to figure out ways, and he's having troubles. Nesmith is playing unbelievable defense. Even though Jalen Brunson is still scoring, he is giving him a tough time and making their offense hell to start. From the start of half court and on, you guys are going home after game 5. It's sad to say, it sucks, but this closeout game is probably happening in New York. And if Neesmith plays and he has a good healthy ankle, Mathen coming off the bench, like Obi Toppin, TJ, these guys, they have so much depth, man. You guys are worn down, and Jalen's working way too hard to score, and he's also not facilitating to get Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby involved. It's not your defense, it's your offense. And offensively, you guys look out of whack. It's my turn, your turn. Jalen Brunson has 1 assist throughout the whole series to Karl Anthony Towns. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts.
It's that stat that you gave is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. The Knicks are not, and I've said it throughout the entire year, the regular season, the Knicks are not augmenting. They're not maximizing their offensive skill set, their offensive talents. This offense should
crazy
be
enough. They are swing. Yes, 100%. It should be swing, drop, kick. Everybody's be involved, and it's mostly a 2-man game or 1-man game. My turn, your turn. But surprisingly enough, they have scored more than enough. And it's just the pace of the game. They can't keep running. No. You know what I'm saying? You slow the game, and Neesmith is speeding you up. You're turning the ball over. You're taking bad shots because of Neesmith, TJ McConnell, even Halliburton. Like, Miles Turner, like Pascal is getting out and like they're denying, they're getting involved, they're getting up under people. They're playing pretty good defense, man, which lead into the offense to be able to get out and run. So unless you slow the damn game down, which I have not seen New York do yet, it is trouble for you guys. And you guys are only getting more worn down and more tired. It's curtains.
Trouble is lurking. Trouble is lurking. I do want to point out that the Knicks were horrific with the turnovers in game number 4 throughout the entirety of the series. Actually, the Pacers are plus 53 in points off turnovers. Josh Hart has some terrible ones in game number 4. I expect them to clean that up. Some of that is just unforced turnovers. And then as I watched game 4, something happened towards the end of the game that gave me a sign of encouragement. They actually posted up OG Anunoby. They purposely said, throw it to him in the post, and he posted up against Nembhard, I think, on back-to-back possessions, and this was late in the 4th quarter. I think you see an improvement with the turnovers. I think they're more purposeful going to OG Anunoby. Mikal Bridges can't play any worse. Josh Hart can't play any worse in terms of his decision-making, and I think OG Anunoby becomes the primary defender on Tyrese Halliburton.
You're asking Danny. A lot of OG, by the way. Posting up and then guarding Tyrese. But go ahead.
The Knicks win. And the Knicks win comfortably. Mark my words. Back game 6, Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
I hope they do win.
A clutch game with 5 minutes left. We don't know what's going to happen in those 5 minutes, and then we'll be back in the Garden for game 7. And if it gets to game 7, the Knicks, again, will at the very least be back in clutch time. That's how I think it's going to break down.
I hope they do win. I want to see a series because these 4-1 sweeps is not good for the conference finals. But no. I just don't see it going much farther, man. All it takes is one good quarter for y'all to throw in the towel, and guys are like, yeah, do we really want to continue to keep going through more, go back to Indiana?
The Knicks have come back from 20-point deficits 3 different times in this postseason. It would not surprise me if they come back from a 3-1 deficit in the series. With that being said, talking about the Indiana Pacers and Knicks series, talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder and how they beat Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves, Danny, I think it's taken basketball media to a very nasty place. And we've talked about it on this podcast, trying to find the balance of being critical, being authoritative in what we're saying about the league, but not coming across in a way that's like essentially too much of a hot take. No, like as great as I want to be as a broadcaster, as great as you want to be as a broadcaster, I'm not going to jeopardize my integrity for clicks. And I'm going to keep I'm going to keep it real. We got to give a real opinion about what we believe. I'm not going to argue just to argue or just to give you some hot viral moments or just to talk trash or negativity, because that's what brings clicks and drama. People want to hear and see that. No, I have to give you my real analysis of the game and of players and people. Because other than that, and once you start lying, it's hard to keep up with your lies. So, it's exactly. And again, we all understand the entertainment value of certain topics, and we understand, like, at the end of the day, it is about entertaining maybe more than informing, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I grew up in an era where the information was the entertaining thing. Now it's a little bit different in how things are going. I'm going to be curious to see, Danny, and this is maybe a larger form discussion. It's interesting. Adam Silver was asked during a press conference, I think leading up into the NBA playoffs, about how he views the coverage of the NBA from its media partners. And he said that he wished that there was more of a celebration of the game. He said that if you watch NFL coverage, and I think he was spot on, a lot of the broadcast partners, they celebrate the game. Damn. Now, I remember, and I'm not accusing the NFL of this at all, but I found it interesting. There was one NFL Sunday that I tweeted out, like, this NFL Sunday slate is trash or something like that. This is a bad slate of NFL games. And immediately I got like 10 different responses, like, don't know, this is still great. Da, 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 da. Like, there is just a way that people talk about the NFL in such a positive manner. And I think we've popularized hot takes so much about the NBA that we get into topics that just denigrate the greatness of a Tyrese Halliburton.
It's too much barbershop talk, basically. And we don't need barbershop talk on national television. Like these debates, these topics, we don't need them. But I will say this, and I was going to ask you, why do you think that is that they talk about the NFL in that type of light? I think the game of the NFL has not only gotten better, but it's been great still, consistent. And not to knock, it's a combination of both. Not to knock the NBA, but to me, the product is not the same as what it once was. Still good, but I think people are still holding on to the nostalgia of the 90s, 2000s, and these in their mind, the memory of these older guys, these OGs that I guess were pioneers of the game, but how they used to play. And they're like, getting away from the mid-range game. Because I just think, I won't say most of the fans. I feel like a lot of the fans are older people that have been watching the game for a long time. And of course, those guys want to see more of the old school stuff or the simple stuff happen, the discipline, the fundamentals. But I would think that if we got more of this type of playoff basketball during the regular season, and you have the in-season tournament, you have the play-in tournament, those are cool and all. But I think during the regular season, if we had more where referees refereed the games the way they're refereeing them, and guys would not foul bait and they call them BS, I think the product would be, and people wouldn't complain as much. Also, it'd be easier for guys to talk about it. But yes, people have gotten down that lane of talking too negatively about the NBA and harping on all what's wrong with it, what has changed, why viewership is down, and what can they do to change that instead of just appreciating it. But I think it's a combination of both. So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's interesting where basketball media is, and I'm going to be interested now that NBC Sports has gotten involved, now that Amazon has gotten involved, and NBC Sports has gotten Michael Jordan involved, and I believe Michael Jordan is taking it from part of the reason why he wanted to do it is because he saw that too many people were using his greatness to denigrate the other players who have come up in the league after him. And so if Michael Jordan is coming in with the mindset of I'm going to be positive about the game and continue to uplift it, I think that that could have a trickle down effect on how we talk about the league. And I'm saying 100%. A lot of that. Yeah. And I'm saying a lot of that because we've recently run into this new conversation of, is this guy the face of the league? Is this guy a superstar? XYZ, XYZ. And it's like, yo, yes, Anthony Edwards is qualified to be the face of the league. Maybe he is now. Maybe he isn't now. Like it frankly, it doesn't matter. He's great. And like, there's no appreciation for what he is right now in the moment. He's 23 years old.
And what he's done.
Been to back-to-back Western Conference finals. He takes pride on the defensive end. He still all does it with a smile, but will still dunk on you any opportunity that he gets. He got double teamed on 100% of his drives in game number 4. And they lost by and non-drives. And people were saying he's not shooting them enough when you're not looking at the totality of the game and how it was kind of set up. And then you look at Tyrese Halliburton, and it's like, bro, he's been to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. And yes, he's not a person who drops 30 points per game, but we called Steve Nash a superstar because he was leading He was driving a team with a unique pace and dropping double-digit dimes on a regular, and he was elevating his team. There are different ways to be the face of the league. There are different ways to be a superstar. And I think we got, for some reason, some of us are just gotten so caught up in the superstar and the face of the league has to be this. No, like there's different ways to slice a turkey, for the lack of a better phrase. There's different ways that you can be elite. There's different ways that you can be great. If everybody was the same player, the league would be boring as hell. Yeah. So I think we have to. That's what makes Nikola Jokic so great, because he's one of one. And I think it's the Jordan chasing.
Yeah,
it's the
trying to compare him to Mike. Come on, but even when Mike was younger, he wasn't winning a bunch of championships like that. Like, what do you expect from this young kid? So for me, I think they're going way too far with it. And who cares who the face? You have a lot of different faces that are very good across the board, from Wemby to Luka to Jokic to Giannis to Ant-Man, SGA. There's so many guys that are great, and I'm glad that we don't particularly have just one person that's the face, because that's boring. You don't want to just have one person that's the face of the league. You have multiple faces. But to judge this young kid off one series against the best team in the league, and no disrespect to his peers or his others or his teammates, they are very good. But with only one guy, a secondary, which you wouldn't even consider a superstar. Julius is a very good player. He's a star, but not a superstar. Most teams have 2 and 3 guys. There's usually a big 3. He does not have that. He has a secondary guy, so it's a big 2 really, and a bunch of guys that can make up a third kind of star. What's it? Nickeil Alexander-Walker is very good. Naz Reid is very good. DiVincenzo is very good. These guys are good enough to help you, but he doesn't have a second creator. Jalen Williams can create off the bounce outside of Shea. If Shea was doing it by himself, the only person creating, and all we had to do was double team Shea and make him pass, OKC would be a lot easier to guard, and SGA would not have as many 30 and 40-point games in the playoffs. But he's able to do so because he has that secondary guard or the secondary creator, a third star or a second star. So once Ant Edwards gets a second star, a second creator, now if he had a Mike Conley 10 years ago, that's a totally different team. You have another guy that can bring the ball up. He has to bring the ball. He's shooting shots that are bad shots because he's feeling pressured and forced to be more aggressive because everybody's talking about, oh, he's not taking enough shots. But it's like, these are bad. They're double teaming it. He has to trust his teammates. Now, if he had a second star where somebody else can create and make shots for him, make the game easier for him, that's a different scenario. But he doesn't have that. But to judge him off one series, he did damn near swept your Lakers 4-1. He damn near he beat the Golden State Warriors he has done some incredible things for a team. It was a 6 seed. Nobody expected them to be in Western Conference Finals. They overachieved. They were ultimately outmanned, and y'all are trying to compare him or judge him off of a series against the best team in the league where they're not even supposed to be. Like I said, they weren't really a Western Conference Finals team. They just made the Western Conference Finals, to me. Mm-hmm. But to base him off that series is crazy to me. Like, this kid is still very much worthy to be face of the league, and he had a hell of a year. I don't care what he did again. I didn't expect him to beat OKC. OKC is a really good team. And they had a really good strategy, and they're very great defensively. So they said, other guys beat us, and guess what? The other guys almost did in Game 4. They had a really good run. But they said, we're not going to allow Julius and Ant-Man to beat us. They're going to make everybody else do it. And they had a great game, and they stuck to that philosophy. And unfortunately, Minnesota doesn't have enough. With the others, with the start, they didn't have enough to make it easier for anybody on the court for them offensively. So that comes with a loss. And rightfully so, OKC should beat them. They were 20-something games ahead of them in the regular number 1 seed versus number 6 seed. They're the better team. You can't judge them off of what kind of play he had against a better team in a playoff series.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be interested to see who they add during this offseason and see how they could augment his skill set as he gets better in the offseason. I'm going to be interested to see what he adds to his game. We saw that he added the 3-ball to his game in a great way this past offseason. Maybe he has more back to the basket, maybe more of the mid-post. We'll see what he does. Big-time decisions have to be made about Julius Randle and Naz Reid. Both of those players have player options. And then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is going to be a free agent as well. So a lot of decisions to be made. Their future is a little bit more murky. We're going to discuss that by the end of the show. But one future that is bright, Danny, bright as maybe we've seen for any team over the past 7 years, is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yes.
Alex Caruso, at 30 years old, is the oldest player on the squad. They are the first team in the NBA since 2002 to make it to the NBA Finals without having at least one player with 10 years of NBA service. They have Nikola Topic, who was the best player overseas last year, sat out this whole entire year. They're comparing him to like a young Luka. He sat out this whole year. He's coming up. Chet Holmgren missed a large portion of the season. He obviously has taken leaps and bounds.
And his rookie year, he missed the rookie year too. So he's missed some time. He's still developing.
Yes, exactly. And Jalen Williams just became an all-NBA team player this past offseason. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won the MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, by the way, this was his third straight year scoring over 30 points and shooting over 50% from the field. And this season, he raised his three-point attempt average to 5.7. He's still only shooting it at 35%, but the uptick in volume makes me believe that he'll be a better three-point shooter as well. And then obviously Jalen Williams was drafted. Shout out to the PG trade. Chet Holmgren was drafted, and because of that, Danny, there is a very long roadway for this team to be dynastic, maybe more than any other team that we've seen before in the NBA. And because the Thunder had this, or a modicum of this, with KD, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, under Sam Presti, I don't think Sam Presti lets it happen again, where they lose something that could be so great. You have to hold on to this big three, and because of the economy of the NBA and their first round draft pick capital, I think they're going to be able to do it. Keep this big three. Guys like Lou Dort are going to have to leave potentially when Isaiah Hartenstein's contract runs out. They're probably not going to be able to bring him back. But then I think, Danny, they'll be able to bring in your veterans who come in the vet minimum when they want to win a chip, or they'll continue to draft. Maybe in the draft, with all their draft capital, they don't target a guy with a long runway. They target a guy who spent 4 years in college and come in right away and just be a 3-and-D wing or be a 3-and-D ball handler. They are, Danny, they're set up so well.
They are. But you have to I think you have to find a way to keep Isaiah Hartenstein. You have to, because of Chet's injuries in his body, till it gets right, you have to keep Isaiah. And between Lou Dort and Alex Caruso, you have to figure out how to keep one of those guys around. You need that defender. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, those guys are making money. You have to figure out ways to move.
Danny, but there's internal development. Like, yes,
they do have great development. They have great player development. And that's what Minnesota needs. Honestly, speaking of Minnesota, they need Rob Dillingham to help. He needs to become the next Mike Conley, a younger version. You need Terrence Shannon Jr. He was a spark off the bench. You need him to help Anthony. Like, if those guys develop the way they're supposed to, it'll make it a lot easier for Anthony Edwards when he's in this type of situation in the postseason. But OKC, yes, they have a chance to be a dynasty with how they're set up and how young they are. And said they have some money, they have some picks, draft picks, and they're able to pay the guys, staggered like a certain way. This is going to be interesting, and they just got to hope that they stay healthy. They could be like another version of the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
but even Boston should have more than one ring, honestly.
Yeah, Boston should have more than one ring. But even if you look at Boston, Danny, I think the thing that's interesting about them is that Boston, yes, they had Jaylen Brown and they have Jason Tatum. They still were propped up by older stars, your Al Horfords of the world, your Drew Holidays of the world.
Porzingis even. So.
Exactly. The guys who are propping up, the guys who are complementing OKC's big three is a case in Wallace, is an Aaron Wiggins. Like, like it's still
Alex Caruso is your oldest player and he's 30, but everybody else, Isaiah Hartenstein, he's still like, they're still young, but they said, Isaiah Joe, like they got to just keep those guys and keep them healthy and keep developing them. They're going to be very good. You keep growing, Jalen Williams and Shai keep growing the way they're going, staying healthy. I said they're going to be a team that's always in the Western Conference Finals or in the finals for the next 4 or 5 years.
And I think what might be a little bit difficult to understand for some people is that, yeah, eventually they're not going to be able, they probably won't be able to keep Lou Dort. They might not be able to keep Lou Dort and Alex Caruso, and they might not be as good of a defensive team as they are now. But because you have still the core of Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Chet Holmgren, who's to say that you don't just lean more offense going forward? Like, and that's not saying that those guys are bad defenders either, because they're still very good defenders. So there's, to the point I made earlier, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. But when you have your foundation that is young and accomplished, you're in a very, very good spot. But let's focus in on this specific year's Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think one of the things that you and I talked about that we were worried about in terms of their candidacy to win an NBA championship was their reliance on turning other teams over. And we thought, okay, well, you get to the playoffs, it's a half-court game. Yeah. You're not going to be able to just have pick sixes.
They didn't give a damn. They didn't give a damn how slow. We don't give a damn. We slow, fast. You're getting turned over. Pause. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, yo. They don't give a damn the pace at all. They're going to figure out a way to play defense and get stops. Like you said, in the future, they may lean more on the offense, but you got to keep some of that defense around you because that's their identity. But they have guys that are able to set the way Jalen Williams is scoring, especially in Game 4 the other night, and knocking down shots. The way Chet's stepping up and making big plays, putback dunks, layups, being active around the rim, shot blocking, playing defense, and knocking down a 3 or 2 here or there from the wing. It's like, all right, this is very promising. But yes, they didn't care about pace. They didn't care about playoffs. Listen, we're going to get turnovers. We're going to play defense, and we're going to, stick to our identity. And I'm interested when the finals. I'm wondering, and when the bright lights happen, because it's new teams on both sides. Who's going to show up? Mm-hmm. Who's going to let the bright lights get to them? Who's not? Who's going to play their game? Who's going to how long is it going to take for each team to settle in?
Danny, I was trying to find the article, but I know I've shared it with you. It was so wild to see that they have this list here of teams that have forced the most turnovers / points off turnovers throughout the course of a playoff run. And teams that were in that were like the 95-96 Bulls, the 2012-2013 Heat, the 1996-97 Bulls, the 2018-2019 Toronto Raptors, your team that you won a championship with. And all of those teams their numbers are smashed. Yeah.
Okay, see, way ahead of them. And we played, and they haven't even played the finals yet. We played at least 4 more games of them, and they're way ahead of us in that category, which is kind of crazy. Maybe it's just the pace of the game. Maybe it's different, but they're a very good defensive team, and is the reason why I say defense wins championships. So
I see.
I'm willing to bet a good amount of money that championship's going to be on that side of OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, when it's all said and done.
I see them. I see a lot of similarities between your finals team, Danny, and this finals team. They are, you guys excelled points off turnovers. And Toronto. Because if your Raptors team got a turnover, it was quick. Yeah. You were running to the 3-point line, making them pay, or you had Kawhi.
Pascal's out. Pascal running
out of there.
Wide receiver, he's out there. So what he's doing in Indiana. Wide receiver Tyrese Halliburton's able to push the pace, find those guys. Obi Toppin, a damn deer, just running around, bouncing around, catching lobs. So Pascal was running. I was running to the 3. Kawhi is still, Kalo was good at pitching ahead, but we had Serge, we had Mark, we had even Norm, Fred going off the bench. Like, they can push the pace. But we can get up and down with the best of them. So yeah, that's how we thrive.
And similarly, when the game had to slow down, you guys were able to go to Kawhi in the half court, and the Thunder are able to go to Shai and Jalen Williams, and they have a stretch 5 here with Chet Holmgren. Danny, I'm saying all that to say I think this is going to be the 7th straight year of a 7th straight champion. I think that this team, the Thunder, if they win, they would qualify as the best championship team since the Warriors won in 2018. I think they'll be better than your Lakers team. I think they're better than your Raptors team. I think they're better than the Nuggets that won. I think they're better than the Celtics that won. I think they're better than the Bucks that won. This would be the best. No. The best team. The best.
OKC.
If they win a title, they're the best title team since the Warriors won in 2018.
That's what KD.
Yes, yeah, obviously, yeah, because ever since then, there's been a new champion. It was your Raptors team, it was your Raptors team, the Lakers, then the Bucks, then the Nuggets. No, then the Warriors.
I'd have to
then the
argue.
Nuggets, then the Celtics.
I'd have to argue, even though the stats didn't show, that Lakers team was probably the best defensive team that I've been a part of, bro. And it's at San Antonio, we had good defense. We had Timmy. We moved the ball great. Same thing with Toronto. But when you have AD, JaVale at the rim, me, Avery Bradley, who didn't come in the bubble, KCP coming off the bench to replace him, Alex Caruso, Rajon Rondo, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James, Dwight Howard coming off the bench. That defensive team, our offense was not great. So OKC's offense might be a little bit smoother, but we, went to Bron to post, AD to post. But defensively, I don't think there was many teams better than that team that I was on, the Lakers. So yes, all around team maybe. So offense, defense, you say put them together, they may have been more talented. Actually, we had great offense too, but they were smoother off. Like they had a better offensive flow. Our offensive flow was not that smooth. We won games because of our defense. JaVale, AD, Dwight coming off the bench. Me, Avery Bradley, KCP, Alex Caruso coming off the bench, a younger Alex Caruso. I said Rajon Rondo, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James. Bro, what?
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You might have had a better defense, but even if, and I understand your argument there, and you might just be right, but your defense wasn't leading to as many points as this. You might have a better defense, but the OKC's defense might be more impactful.
100%. We didn't run like that. And so it's like the numbers didn't show. We would get stops. We may not have made points off turnovers. We may not have gotten out and running like that. Mind you, said we had a different type of offense. And sometimes Bron might take a half-court shot. But it was mostly pitch ahead, throw to AD, or slow down, get the post to AD, or get a set. So it was AD-Bron situation. So, yeah, we didn't get out and running like that. Toronto, we did. We got out and running in Toronto. But, yes, you said the numbers didn't show it, but defensively, that team was unbelievably stacked. But, yes, OKC was probably the best defense team of turning them into points, turning the defense into points.
Yeah. So, so in its totality, I think that's why, again, OKC still has to finish the job. But if they get the job done, this is the best team that we've seen since the 2018 Warriors with KD, and they have a true runway to continue doing what they're doing. But we don't want to crown them champions just yet, even though we want to continue to look ahead in what's going down in the NBA. When we come back from break, Shams Charania, NBA insider for ESPN, said it's the craziest summer ever that's coming ahead. We predict what that crazy summer might just look like right here on Inside the Green Room. Being right back. Welcome back to Inside the Green Room. Danny Green, Harrison Sanford. You already know the vibes. Do us a favor. If you are listening to us on your podcast app, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know the vibes and you know why if you're in this podcast world. Want to get to what we think might equate to the craziest summer ever in just a moment. But Danny, I was talking about it earlier in the show. Part of the reason why I'm also sad about where we are in the NBA calendar, it just means that we're getting to the point where we are officially at the point now where there's not games every night. And that is I hate that time of year. It's a
long, boring summer. We can't watch basketball.
Yeah. Now, granted, I promised myself that I will watch more WNBA. We
got the W. No Olympics this year. We got the W. Yeah. So, yeah.
I will watch more WNBA. I love what Liberty got going on, and there is some good storylines that are happening in the WNBA, so it'll keep me interested. But one of the things I'm doing now, and I actually just started it, is now picking either new series to watch or going back to series that I vaguely remember and trying to enjoy them again. And what I just started, Danny, I didn't realize, and I knew it was good. I knew it was good because I watched it. I watched it before, but it's been years since I've watched it. I didn't realize just how good The Sopranos is. Oh my goodness, bro.
It's great, bro. It's especially like when you watch it, you appreciate it more. Most things you appreciate the second time around. But a really good series, great series, man. I enjoyed that one as well. I actually started those late, like the good ones from way back. And I was like, I'm gonna catch back. Like The Wire, Sopranos. I was like, all right, I need to watch these because I started with Breaking Bad. I started with a bang. I was like, I don't know if I go back to the old shows. I'm gonna just keep going with the new shows. But there's a lot of good TV that's been out lately, and some of them have been impressive. Like Mobland is amazing.
Mobland is good.
Your Friends and Neighbors is a good one.
Yes.
I just finished Forever, which was pretty solid. The Pit was fire. There's so many good shows out there on Apple TV, Hulu, even Netflix. So yeah, I've been enjoying when I had some downtime with wifey. She's uncomfortable and pregnant right now, but we'll be able to kick it and watch some good series.
Yeah, the Sopranos will be something that I finish probably over the next month and a half, 2 months or so. And then I'll find another one. But yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying Your Friends and Neighbors and thoroughly enjoying Mobland as well. The last episode of Mobland just changed the whole. It's getting nuts. With that being said, all right, let's go to what Shams Charania has said. It's setting up for the craziest summer ever. And there's a multitude of reasons why it could be that way. Number one, that second apron is really having an impact on how teams are structuring. If you're in the second apron multitude of years, you're really in a bad spot. And a team like for example, the Boston Celtics, who are going to be in the second apron unless they offload some contracts, will probably make some moves, especially because Jason Tatum more than likely won't be playing for the entirety of the 2025-2026 basketball season. Another reason why it might be a crazy summer is because if you look at the landscape of the NBA outside of maybe the Oklahoma City Thunder, you don't necessarily feel like there is an overwhelming favorite. As good as the Thunder are, Danny, nobody's going to look at the Thunder. Yeah. Nobody's going to look at the Thunder like they are the KD Warriors or the LeBron Miami Heat. Nobody will, regardless, again, if they win this year. People, I think teams and GMs are still going to feel like there's an open runway. And even if they feel like the Thunder could be a dynasty, they might say to themselves, well, there's still only one injury away, or it can't last. It's not going to last forever because of the financial dynamics of the National Basketball Association. With that being said, okay, give me one prediction, Danny, that will make it the craziest summer ever.
I mean, I think there's so much that's going to happen. It's hard to just say one thing. So I think even though Giannis has not fully expressed he wants out, but he said he's open to the idea of it. The owner said they're not going to make it easy for him and just send him wherever he wants to go. So that could get messy and ugly. KD is trying to be on the move. Like a lot of Phoenix guys could be on the move. Boston's gonna have to change some things too because they can't keep everybody with the cap. So I don't know, man. One thing, I think your Knicks are gonna make something happen. Honestly, I think your Knicks are gonna take something because you may not think it's over. It's over in my book, and I think something happens with Tibbs or Cat or I don't know, but somebody is gonna get moved or they're gonna look for some depth. And in order to get depth, you have to move somebody, whether it's Mitchell Robinson or Josh Hart, I don't know. But I do love the fact that it is unpredictable, like you said, because even though OKC is really good, you just never know who's going to be healthy and playing their best basketball every year. So it's not like we've had a new champion for the last 5-6 years, which is great. But I couldn't put one thing on. I think the one thing that might be the most surprising for most people is probably Giannis. Then it'll be KD, and then probably what the Knicks do.
Yep. I think, all those things are in play. I think the Giannis thing is going to be interesting because Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. And there's a clear team or clear two teams, in my opinion, that are actually qualified to give the Bucks what they want. The Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs. They're the only teams, in my opinion, that actually have what he wants or what the Bucks would want. The problem is, if you're Giannis, why would I go to the Western Conference where all of the real star power, the majority of the star power is in the NBA? If I'm leaving Milwaukee to get championships, I'm leaving to stay in the Eastern Conference. But if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, why would I keep Giannis in the Eastern Conference, especially when he's only 30 years old? It's not like he has a 2-year window. He still has a 5, 6, 7-year window to win an NBA title. Why would I keep him in the conference? I think that's going to be fascinating, and that's obviously what qualifies it. I think here's an interesting thing, Danny. I know a lot of people talk about Kevin Durant and him being on the move, and maybe he ends up with Minnesota. Maybe he becomes that secondary scorer for Anthony Edwards. Without a shadow of a doubt, and I don't think it's the right thing to do, but without a shadow of a doubt, there will be noise about Kevin Durant playing for the New York Knicks. It's going to happen. I don't know if
every superstar. There's always rumors about every superstar going to the Knicks. Whether it's Giannis, KD, everybody has their take on the Knicks.
Now, here's what would make it a crazy summer. It's not just trading away Kevin Durant, Danny. It's trading away Kevin Durant and leaving the cupboard bare for Devin Booker. And what does that mean for Devin Booker's future in Phoenix? If you're Devin Booker, yes, it's been reported that he has this real desire to be a one franchise type of guy. But if you look around the NBA and you see to yourself, well, the Mavericks got off of Luka Doncic, and look how far Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has now passed me in the pantheon of young players in the league. Look how Anthony Edwards has passed me in terms of players in the league. Look how Tyrese Halliburton has surpassed Devin Booker in terms of pantheon of players in the league. Danny, obviously you weren't a superstar, but you played with them. You know they have a lot of pride. I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to be Devin Booker, to have gone to an NBA Finals, and watching my team erode and watching other players who are younger than me ascend past me. Yeah. My desire to stay with one franchise could be strong, but there's a certain level of professional pride that I still would have. If I am that great, I have professional pride. And so it's not just KD that could make it the craziest summer ever. It could be the trickle-down effect of what that means for Devin Booker. Your thoughts?
That's why I said a lot of guys could be moved in Phoenix. It wasn't KD, of course, I think is looking, and they're trying to find a way to get off Beal, and it might be a buyout situation. We don't know. But I feel like once you move those two, Devin Booker's like, all right, you guys you got rid of those two guys. Why am I still here? And you're not getting enough in return for us to win a championship right now. So at this point, it's another Giannis situation where he's going to kindly ask or have a sit-down talk of what's the best scenario for me and the organization. It's like, at this point, you might as well, I'm not going to sign an extension. You might as well trade me now or get some value, that type of thing, or find a situation. If you guys can rebuild, I don't need to be a part of rebuild. I want to win now. I've done my rebuild years. Since I've been in this organization, he's been rebuilding since he got there.
Yeah, you're right.
So
he already did the rebuild years. You're right.
He did they did multiple iterations of that group. So at this point, it's like, all right, look, man, he's still young, but he's got damn near 10 years. He's got a lot of years in himself. It's like, I'm a vet. I'm trying to win now. I've been to the finals. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Book get moved. I said all three of those guys, I wouldn't be surprised. It might be a whole refresh start over in Phoenix. And it starts with KD. And then, of course, they're going to move Beal, either try to move him or buy him out or figure out a way. And then Book's going to be looking around like, all right, why am I still here? Especially unless you get Giannis, which I don't see happening, unless you get, another star that's like a Luka Doncic, which I don't see happening. Why am I like, we need to I need to be somewhere where I can feel like I can be in contention, where I can win.
Another thing that this doesn't make it crazy, but it does make it interesting. There was a report from Chris Fedor, who works out in Cleveland, that the Cavaliers are now finally open to trading Jared Allen and Darius Garland. It's the first time that we've heard reports that they are. It was not just like something that suggested people who watch basketball.
Wow.
It's now being reported that those are valid conversations happening within the front office. I think that's a very interesting thing to watch, because both of those players are all-star level-ish type of players. But I think another thing that when we talk about qualifying for the craziest summer ever, you specifically have to look at the NBA draft. The number 2 pick rumored to be Dylan Harper, the number 3 pick, owned by the Philadelphia 76ers. The Spurs, they have Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. They don't have to wait to be competitive. They can start as soon as next year. And then you already know, Danny, with the Philadelphia 76ers, if it ain't now, it's going to be never. You have, so having that number 3 draft pick, as good as it could be for the future, it's going to be hard to look at the future when you have such a lot of money committed to this present. Granted, you have to see if Joel Embiid and Paul George can be on the floor together during games where it actually matters, or even for a long stretch of the season. Your thoughts on the NBA draft portion of making it the craziest summer ever?
I love the fact that we have a good shred of talent coming in, but I just don't think the teams that have the picks, conveniently lucky, don't need those. Like I said, if you want to win right now, those pieces aren't win right now situations. So they might be traded away, especially when you're talking about San Antonio. Even Dallas has the option to do so, but they say they're keeping it. Philly, the same. And you're speaking about the other groups. I said there's new news to me, Darius and Jarrett. But when you look into trade pieces, it's like, all right, who can we get to replace them? Where do you look? Do you go to Brooklyn and look at Claxton and a guy like Cam Johnson to get, you can package. I don't know if you throw Strus in there or not, but you have enough money to figure out how to get the pieces you need. And I was going to ask you, like, where do you look if you're those teams? If you're open to talking to these teams or open to trading these players individually, where do you look? Who are you trying to get to replace them? That's the toughest part for me. But with Philly, they just got to get healthy. And I said, I don't know who's going to be the 3rd pick or who they're looking at. I'm assuming that's Ace Bailey. He's in there. I don't know who else that they'd be looking at because he might be available. If Dylan Harper's available, I think you take him. But you already have Tyrese Maxey.
DJ Edgecombe is rumored to be the other guy at that 3 spot in consideration. He's from Baylor. Actually, another Long Island guy, by the way.
Okay. The goods. Say less. I don't know if he wants to be that close to home, but I think it'd be a good situation. You already have Jared McCain, who's going to come back from injury. Tyrese Maxey there, guard heavy. I think you're looking for like a backup big. You know what I'm saying? Like, it puts you in a weird space, but to draft a queen at number 3 is too high for him. I mean, he's good, but he would be a great backup. A little undersized, but he'd be a great backup big to have that can pick and pop and has a little bag to him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this draft does, how people maneuver and trade the pieces, especially if you're in a win now situation. And most of the teams that are the top of it in the lottery are like win now scenarios. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good draft. I think it's going to be a really good draft.
It's going to be a very active draft, in my opinion, because there isn't a lot of free agency money out there. So a lot of teams will be leveraging their draft picks in order to make trades and restructure their teams. It's going to be, I think, whoever's in the finals. Obviously, we know the Thunder's there, and then whoever's in the finals throughout the NBA finals until the end of free agency, I think we're going to get some fascinating basketball talk because a lot of things are going to be shifting. And during the actual finals itself, as Danny and I pointed out, you're going to get great basketball regardless of who ends up playing OKC. With that being said, we can't wait to talk about it again next week. Until then, Danny, tell them what to do.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.